Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for logging in. Wednesday evening, Mindset Power. Got some time. I thought I should connect with you all tonight. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, we're going to talk about mindset. We can talk about mindset. I've got this little book, actually, it's a friend's book. It's a little booklet of quotes. So tonight we're going to be going through some of these quotes and I'll be giving a little bit of commentary on it, and then I want to know what you are thinking about. So, yeah, it is from some of these foremost motivational speakers, authors, philosophers for the last maybe 100 years, and I want to talk to you about that because you know what I mean. Hey, it's a bit. There are too many depressing things going on. There are too many things that are negative out there that are really putting us down. I want to put on my motivational hat tonight, my mindset specialist hat tonight, and talk to you a little bit more about just mindset power. And even though some of you and some of us are going through the most, how can we just help ourselves to be a bit more encouraged, to be a bit more inspired, and to continue pushing for our goals, right? We have to continue pushing for our goals. As we keep on hearing, right, there's absolutely nobody coming to help us. The only person that came down to the earth to save us was Jesus. Since then, he's gone to be in heaven. And right now, as far as our skills, as far as our talents, as far as many things are concerned, nobody's coming to help us. We need to find a way to encourage ourselves, to do the best that we can with the life that we have, with the little bit of time that we've got left. So I want to go through some of these quotations and give a little bit of my take on them. And then maybe there's one that you want to share. So if you have any favorite quote that you want to drop and share on the live, on the message, you're more than welcome to do that. So yeah, it's a little thing a little booklet that I really, really love. And quite a lot of these quotes are from one of my favorite speakers of all time, Jim Rohn, who has passed away quite a while back. He was one of those foremost pioneers that really made the motivational speaking industry what it is today. And I've got a few. It's a little booklet that's got about 134 quotes. Maybe there's something that you can even do for yourself, right? You can actually even do this for yourself, put together some of your quotes, put them in a little booklet. Every now and then when you're going through something tough in your life, it's important to go through to just remind yourself of some of these liners. Like one of my favorite quotes that applies to my life, that is a quote that I came up with when I was going through a hard time, is that life is tough and that people are looking for easy. Don't be the easy target. Realizing that life is tough, people are looking for easy, don't be the easy target. A friend of mine who's also a motivational speaker, one of the very top in this country, actually, we had a little bit of a chat today. He's the eldest brother like I am. I'm the eldest brother, he's the eldest brother. And then we were both just talking a little bit about just how tough it is sometimes to be the eldest brother. To be a black person who grew up in apartheid South Africa, who is the eldest brother and who seems to be doing a little bit better than everybody else in the home, right? You have that burden of duty, of feeling like you need to do everything you can to help your family, to help your sisters, to help your mother. God forbid, if it so happens, as it is the case in most cases, that you are the eldest brother who grew up with a single mother while you had other younger siblings, right? And then these younger siblings look to you, and then there's an element of also your mother looking to you not as a son, but looking at you more like a husband, where honestly, every time that you're hanging around with your parents, every time you're hanging around with your family, there's never, how are you doing? How's your life? How are the kids? But everybody just brings their problems to you all the time. They come and talk about their problems. Nobody ever cares to find out how you are doing. And then because you're kind of doing better than them, you kind of take it and take it and take it. And then you are pretty much like this messianic figure in the family where you are rescuing everyone. You are rescuing everyone financially. You are rescuing everyone. Some people are living with you. You are rescuing everyone physically. You are carrying everybody emotionally, And even in my case, as Mfundisi, then you are carrying everybody spiritually speaking. Whenever there's anything going on, spiritually speaking, they always come to you. So you're carrying the entire family in so many different ways. But what happens is that nobody ever comes and asks you, how are you doing? How are your children doing? How is your business doing? If somebody wants to know about how your business is doing, they're asking to see whether or not they can ask you for money. If they want to find out how your work is doing, they're not asking because they want to find out whether you are okay at work, but they want to actually find out if you've gotten a promotion, if you've gotten an increase of some sort, so that they can see more or less, are they also going to be getting an increase? And the thing is that I'm not saying it from a negative perspective. I mean, I'm saying it as a point of reflection. And him and I, this friend of mine, a brilliant mind, great man, and then we were just reflecting on how what is said is that for many of us eldest brothers who grew up with single mothers or even without our fathers, that we will never know what it's like to have a parent. We'll never know what it's like to have a mother, and we'll never know what it's like to have a father. Because for the most part, when you are the eldest brother, even when you were younger, the way that your mother leaned on you, they leaned on you still more like as if you were the husband. So they never really attended to you as a child. And now that you are older and you are a high performer and you kind of are doing better than everybody else, that has even gone even more with more responsibility. You are now have become more responsible as an older brother, and like it's almost like that sense of entitlement, but at the very same time, because you understand how hard things are. And let's face it, guys, things are really, really hard. To be black in this country, to come from a family that has a lot of siblings, to come from a family that was crippled with poverty for a very long time, to be one of, if not the only person in the family that is doing somewhat okay, that has some kind of a serious job, it's a heavy burden to carry. Guys, I'm going to be going a little bit deep here. So please share the link to your networks. Let's have a real conversation about this issue. Because the thing is, when we are entering, and I want to call them just for the sake of the argument, right? When we're entering these white spaces, there's an element that ignores our history. And also because of how much trauma that we carry with us with our history, we also want to forget. We also want to forget. We don't want to think about all the difficult things that we think that we went through as we were growing up. And that's why when so many of us leave townships, when so many of us leave those villages, we never go back. So many people don't go back because there's so much. Let me take this off. I'm sorry. Because there's so much pain, so much heartache, so much hardship, so much suffering and struggle that you see, and then you take that onto yourself. And it's not easy. And what is the reality is that as much as we carry the burden, maybe you're not the eldest brother, but maybe you're operating as one. Maybe you are the eldest sister that works. Similar kind of demand and responsibility on you, where your mother, especially because the mother would be the one that normally would be left behind. Maybe the father never, ducked a long time ago. Maybe the father passed away. Maybe they're not a present father. Maybe they're not even around at all. And then you, as the eldest sibling that saw the suffering of your family growing up, and then you made a decision at some point that, you know what? I'm not going to have my family suffer this way. I'm going to work so hard and make sure that my mother has this, my siblings have this. They never have to worry about food. They never have to worry about clothes. So they're going to go to school. My mother's going to have a house. They're going to have furniture. They're going to have all of those things. that you grew up not having, and these things sort of motivated you, and for a while this like motivates you, right? My friend and I were talking about this, and he was just saying to me that, you know what, for a while these things are motivating you, they're pushing you to push harder, they're pushing you to work hard, they're pushing you to study, they're pushing you to work long hours, and you are driven by this aspirational vision that one day I'll be able to buy my brother this, buy my sister that, buy my mother that, you know. And it's all great. And unfortunately, because we live in South Africa, because we have the economy that we have, because we have the challenges that we have in terms of access to infrastructure, access to opportunities, access to money, access to knowledge, we find that so many of our siblings, or so many of our cousins, so many of our extended family members have not been able to change their lives. They have not been able to change their lives. They haven't found work even though they have those degrees. They have not been able to build the experiences that are required to advantage themselves. And some of them have got such a strong victim mindset and a shame mindset that they can't even imagine starting some kind of a business. I'm not in any way condoning anything. I'm not justifying anything. I'm simply trying to explain by giving a context and by reflecting on my observations and what you and I may know and think that this is a reality. And then you realizing that as the eldest brother, as the eldest sister, you've missed the opportunity to be parented, and you'll never have a parent. You'll never have a mother. And then you realize that also you've missed the opportunity to have siblings. Siblings where you are equals, where you play together, where you have a friendship of some sort together. Because even your siblings looked to you more like a father, or like a mother as an elder sister, you know. And then you realize that sibling relationship is something that you'll never have. And you're now older. You'll never have a mother in the way that you wanted to have a mother. You'll never have a father in the way that you wanted to have a father. You'll never have siblings in the way that you have siblings. And everybody looks to you still as somebody to depend on. Sometimes they don't want to find out how you are. They don't want to find out how you are, because if they find out that you're not doing very well, it's going to rock their boat. It's going to rock their boat. They're going to be depressed. And I'm not saying that people cannot learn to find out how you are. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying in a country like ours, where there's so much trauma still, trauma of poverty, trauma of lack, trauma of violence, trauma of a lack of opportunities, you know, trauma of also not having an environment where there's good counsel, right? It's a combative environment. Every day is a battle that the people that depend on us, they don't ask us how we are, because they're afraid to find out how we are. They're afraid to find out how you, as the eldest brother that they depend on financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, and otherwise, they don't want to find out how you are, because if they found out how you really were doing, their world is going to fall apart. Their world is going to fall apart. And that's why one of the first things that happens every time they see you, they tell you about their problems. You know, you come across your mother, oh, wanaka, you know, harina ing, kitweriki ing, mamang unali ing, hey, you know, and then sister this, and then brother, and then cousin that, you know. I remember recently, it was a day where I was really feeling overwhelmed, right? And then as I'm feeling overwhelmed, I probably got like 5 messages from 5 different family members. And it was, you know, and it was one of those cold, remember that cold day, about 2 weeks ago, there were like those three couple of days that were super cold, right? Super, super, super cold. And then they call, listen, Abuti, Arnahasi, Abuti, Imitlagasi. And then, I need to go to the doctor. I've got flu. Why now, Nali, this thing. So I've got like 5 or 6 different messages from 6 different family members. And I was like, oh my goodness. That was like, it really hit me. That day was a bad day for me. Was a bad day, was a hard day, guys. It was a hard day. Because and just simply realizing that as much as you may want to teach people lessons, you may want to draw boundaries, and I've spoken about drawing boundaries, and I'm not in any way like regressing from that or retracting that statement. But as much as you want to draw boundaries, you want to give in a way that is sustainable, in a way that has put harm on you, a lot of these people might never get themselves out of those situations. Might never. Mother's too old, never. Some people have such a strong victim mindset, they'll never come out of that. Whatever opportunities that you create for them, it just never happens. They never get themselves out. And the reality is that as much as sometimes you want to say no, if you say no, there is actually a real risk that these people may die. They will not have money for food. If you don't pay that money to fix that stove, they might have to go back to the paraffin. If you don't make a plan to fix that fridge, they'll never have it. They'll never have money to fix that fridge. If you don't make money to do whatever it is, especially if it's those basic needs, if you don't make a plan as the elder brother or elder sister, it's never going to happen. And it doesn't matter that you try to pay for your sisters or for your brother's school, you try to take them to university and then they didn't take advantage. It doesn't matter that at some point you gave them money to start a business and they never did, they charged the money. It doesn't matter that you've given and done so many different opportunities and you found them work and they never made good out of that work and now they don't have any work. It doesn't matter that any of those things have happened. What is true is that even though you may have done the best that you possibly could to help them, there is a real risk. There is a real risk that they may never get out of that situation. And if you don't intervene, something bad is going to happen. And because you've got the older brother, older sister syndrome of duty, you also have the problem of guilt. If you don't do what you think in your own mind is your duty, then the subsequent result of that is that you feel guilty. You feel guilty that you've said no. You feel guilty that you couldn't be able to help. You start to really have those mental, marathon where you're trying to justify why you shouldn't help, and you have to remind yourself of everything that you have done. But the reality is that if you don't assist, they're going to go to Mashonesa. If you don't assist, they're going to go to Mashonesa. Mashonesa is going to charge them 50% more. And if you don't, and if they don't pay Mashonesa, Mashonesa is going to come and take the furniture that you've bought for them. I mean, I come home one day and I find that the television is not there. And I'm like, what happened with the TV that I gave you guys, What happened with the nice TV that I gave you guys? No, Bafitli, the people came here and they stole. And then I find out a couple of months later, actually it wasn't stolen. Mashonesa came and took the TV. Because they went and borrowed money from Mashonesa. And now that expensive TV is gone. So things are hard, and we got to find a way to encourage ourselves. We've got to find a way to build our mindsets. And that's why I wanted to just share a few quotes with you guys. I'm going to have to find out from it because I'm actually at a friend's house right now. I'm going to have to find out where they got this book. You guys, I don't know if you can see. Maybe you can take a screenshot yourselves. Take a screenshot yourself. Refilo, I don't know to what extent we can keep helping people out. I'd say this, give yourself a lot of grace and pace yourself. But I'll say that if you really want to set yourself up for a very frustrating life, you know, or rather, I want to say this: once you start, trying to figure out, I don't just say no for the sake of saying no. If you are that empath, if you are that caring older brother or older sister, guilt is going to mess around with you. And guilt is something very difficult to carry in your system because it starts to mess up with your health. So pace yourself, say no if you can, but if you're able to say yes, but try not to give more than what you have. Try to manage how much you give, try to manage how often you give. But the fact of the matter is that you can't just decide, you know what, I'm done, and cut them off, because you are the eldest brother, and the eldest brother takes that responsibility, especially in the absence of the father. Unfortunately, as the eldest brother, you cannot take the responsibility of being a father. And by taking the responsibility of being a father, in a sense, and being, in a way, a husband to your mother, it gives you a certain degree of value yourself. It gives you a certain degree of value yourself. And duties, I've said, duty drives you, because duty drives you, then you feel easily guilty. If you say no, guilt is going to mess around with you. If you say no, shame is going to mess around with you. All right. And if you're saying no because of any guilt and shame, those two things can mess around with your mental health. Especially if this is your heart. This is your heart. And being honest with yourself, Muzi, I like that. If you're honest with yourself and then you really, want to have a good experience, you will learn to say no, and you'll learn to manage your capacity to give, as opposed to just giving from guilt and giving from shame. Because that's also not good either, where you're just giving from guilt and giving from shame, and then you don't learn to say no. Now, if you're saying no when you have the ability to give, and it won't really mess around with your pocket so much, but you're trying to teach a principle, unfortunately, a lot of these people don't have the ability to learn that lesson from you. Unfortunately, they don't have the ability to learn that lesson from you. Instead, the lesson that they learn from you is that, uyaswenka, uyabrega, uyikhansa, uyazibona, uyazithola, you've neglected them. And so they will say so many horrible things about you. The thing about it is that I like, Norma, what you're saying is that, you don't give any more because after doing so much for them, you say you don't have, they hate. Yeah, that's the thing about it. When they start becoming entitled and coming after you and start attacking your character, start attacking your heart towards them, start questioning your love, that's what starts to happen, right? And then it starts to mess around with you, and then you have to protect your heart. Then you've got to protect your heart. You got to protect your mind. And unfortunately, that translates into you not going home anymore. It translates into you not even attending family functions anymore, because you don't want to hear makobisa. You don't want to hear things said, no kadlala. But you know that nobody will dlala anything. Nobody's playing around, but actually what they are saying, they say certain things in jest, but they're not saying things in jest. Actually, they're giving you a message. So waitola, wapapa, waitepa, waikhansa, whatever it is that they may be saying. What I am saying is this, is that if you are the person that gets easily guilty and that is an empath and stuff, just manage how much you give, manage how often you give. But just understand this, that they're not going to change because of whatever lesson that you're trying to teach them. Because whatever the lesson that you're trying to teach them, they're not going to get it from you. If there's any lesson that they're going to get from someone else. They'll probably listen to somebody else about how much they're abusing you more than you trying to teach them a lesson. So do that, because of you are protecting your peace, you're protecting your mind, you're protecting your heart. Yeah, look, Muzi, I totally agree with you. Giving shouldn't be a burden, but the expansion of love. The challenge with that is that sometimes we don't know the line between burden and expansion itself. and then we just give out of guilt. We just give out of guilt. We give out of shame. We give out of the sense of duty in trying to make change, to change your situation at home. But the unfortunate part of that is that there are people who don't want to. There are people who don't want the situation at home to change because they don't want to change. They don't want to change. You give them the money to go to school, they don't go. You give them money for the business, they don't do anything. You give them money to do something for their lives so they can improve their lives, so they can also be able to contribute in the family. They don't do that, right? They don't do it. And so they're not interested in changing the situation at home, because as long as you're sustaining the situation at home, then they have the excuse to lazy around. They have the excuse not to push themselves the way that you pushed yourselves because you understood as the elder brother or as the one sibling that really didn't want the situation at home to continue going the way that it was going. You pushed yourself and you knew that nobody's going to be there to help you. You understood that nobody's coming to rescue you. And you did what you needed to get done. But unfortunately, as soon as you start to make it in the home, then a lot of the people back home, they don't feel the need. They don't feel the need to change that situation. They just sit there with their hands out, depending on you. Yeah, we feel guilty because we feel obligated. And it should have been an obligation. Unfortunately, for many of us, we feel that it is. Ubuntu prescribes that obligation. As much as I love Ubuntu, and then I can never be until you are. You are because I am, or I am because you are, whatever. It places that duty on you. It places the duty that says, you're never free until the others are free as well. And unfortunately, that's where the duty comes from. Rafila saying that's the hardest thing. That's the hardest part. They will hate you more for trying to teach you a lesson. Yeah. There is no lesson to be taught. And that's why I learned this about boundaries the other day. The boundaries are never about other people, but boundaries are about you. Boundaries are about you taking charge and control of your own actions without depending on another person's response or behavior. So in other words, if you decided that I'm only going to give 1,000 rands a month to my family, no matter what, I'm going to give it to them because I understand things are hard. I'll do it to them, and I'm not going to go over the 1,000 rand. That 1,000 rand has to be something that you decide to do because you think it's a good thing for you to do. Not as an expectation of they're going to use the 1,000 rand. They're not going to buy, alcohol with it. They're not going to go gamble with it. Whatever it is that you may fear that you don't want them to do with it, you must give it because it comes from your heart and it is with the intention to do whatever you want to do for them, right? And then in situations where there are emergencies, you only give what you're able to give, and you don't put yourself under tremendous amount of pressure. Now you start borrowing 50,000 rands, go borrow 100,000 rands from someone else because if you're trying to rescue your family situation, with a lot of people who are not willing and who are not willing to change their lives and who will not even appreciate the efforts. And if anything, when they find out that you borrowed the money, it'll be like, yeah, vele. Yeah, vele. He must. Vele, she must. He must go. Why? They must go. They must go get that money because we need it. Anyway, look, I didn't want to really go down that route today tonight. I was just reflecting on a few things based on a conversation with a friend. So let's go on to lighter things, guys. Let's go on to lighter things. I want to share with you a couple of quotations here because I want to do Motivation Wednesday with you guys, and then let's take it easy a little bit. I want to share a few quotations with you. And let's make it light. I'm so sorry that we went a little bit hard and dark. But as you know, on these lives, we don't go light, we go deep. Okay, let's see. Yeah, let me quickly read a few lines here. And then maybe if you've got a favorite quotation that you want to share, you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to read a few of these lines and I'm going to do a little bit of commentary on them, and then We can take it that way. And then if anybody then wants to come and join in, please share with everybody else right now if you can. Share on your platforms. Let's do it. Okay, here's online. Here says, unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you've got, right? Unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you have. Now, I like to think in frameworks as a mindset development specialist. And then I want to think about it in 4 different categories. Unless you change who you are, let's talk about you as your person. What are some of the things that you can change? Let's think about it. It's changing the way you think. All right. Unless you change the way you think about yourself, the way that you see yourself, unless you change the way you see yourself so that you can become more confident, right? When you're more confident, you're more productive. When you're more confident, you're more smart. You're able to actually operate more with the highest level of intelligence when you're confident, because you're not wrestling with doubt. Doubt can cripple your ability to be intelligent. Doubt can cripple your ability to be confident in what you know very well. Unless you change the way you think about yourself, see yourself as a more capable person, you're not going to be able to change anything. Unless you change the way you look at your situation. If you think about, I'm looking at my situation, do I think that I'm defeated? Do I think that it can never be changed? Do I think that nothing that I do will ever change the situation I'm finding myself in? If that is what I'm thinking, then obviously I won't be able to change my situation. Then there is the issue of relationships. One of the greatest challenges when I'm doing counseling is that people always want the other person to change. It's very rare that I will have a couple walk into the counseling room and then the one member of the couples would say, of the partnership would say, I need to change. I have a toxic way of thinking about myself. I'm suspicious. I am jealous. I am distrusting. I got hurt at some particular point. Now I've got great difficulty trusting anybody. I've not healed. Right? Yeah, and then endurance perfect. You are who you are wherever you go. You are who you are wherever you go. For a while, the excitement of being in a new place may give you that relief in your quest as you're being curious, trying to figure out what to do, what not to do, right? That time of being in a new place and being excited can give you that relief. Ultimately, though, your true self is going to come out. If you left your previous place being unhappy, being miserable, being toxic, being having a victim mindset, not operating in your power, having poor confidence, riddled with shame, not doing enough to get yourself to a place where you are feeling empowered. It doesn't matter that you've moved and changed places. The reality is that unless you decide to change, you're going to go back to who you are. What do you think about yourself? Changing a partner, getting a new partner. For a while, at the beginning of the relationship, the excitement of a new relationship, the relief of being with a person that's new and you're discovering them, the elements and parts of you that you're going to suppress. But unless you change, ultimately, when you become familiar with that person, the unhappy you is going to come out. The jealous you is going to come out. The dysfunctional you who yells and screams and swears, and then when you are angry, you go screw it all and you cut all wires. Like they take the pride to say, when I'm crazy, I'm crazy. When I'm mad, I'm crazy. Type of thing. That mindset is still there with you. You may be with a person that is the most loving person in the world, the most caring person in the world, the person that has your back through and through. If you haven't learned how to manage your anger, if you haven't learned how to manage your emotions when you're triggered, you may be with that person that is the best thing that has ever happened to you and for you, and you're going to screw that relationship because of you have not worked on you. You've not worked on your heart. You've not worked on your mind. You haven't healed. You haven't worked on your on your inability to regulate yourself emotionally when you were upset. You haven't worked on your tongue. Your tongue is totally out of control. Whenever you're angry, you say the worst things, like really putrefying swords spit out of your mouth, and you're cutting people's faces, cutting them into pieces. And then you take pride in that. There are those people that take pride in the fact that when they open their mouth, they can spit out knives and swords and bullets and all sorts of things and destroy people. You have those people, right? The people that have the mindset of thinking, I'm going to show them wherever they go. So it doesn't matter that you are with an angel. Literally, you could be married to Jesus Christ himself and you'll still find a way to screw it up. You gotta change. If you don't change yourself, if you don't change the way you think, if you don't change the way you view your environment, if you don't change the way you view your situation, if you don't change the way that you see other people, the reality is that nothing changes. Everything remains the same. So I love that quotation. It's a very cool one by Jim Rohn that says, unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you have, right? Now, undoubtedly, there are many things that we have no control over and that we find ourselves in. We don't have control over the economy. We don't have control over the opportunities that come our way sometimes because we are in whatever geographical areas that we might find ourselves in. We don't have control over the family that we're born into. We don't have control over sometimes, even if you started off very well in a relationship, when the other person starts to change on you, when they begin to flip on you, you don't have control over that. But you do have control over the way you think. And then if the way you think is healthy, then you will be able to make decisions that align with that. If you want to change the decisions that you're making, you have to change the way you think. Second one is that life is a unique combination of want to and how to. And we need to give equal attention to both. I like that. Life is a unique combination of want to and how to, and we need to give equal attention to both. What I want to do and how I need to get it done. A lot of us want to succeed in life, but how to succeed is a problem. When you get a small opportunity, how to make that opportunity big is a problem. When you make a big opportunity, how to keep that big opportunity and make the best out of it, that is a problem. You get a good relationship, you are with a good partner, you are with a man that is healed, or you are with a woman that has healed, but you have not. Even a person that is healed, they're not going to be able to bear with your nonsense. And as a matter of fact, the people who have healed, and I want to say this to some of you ladies, there's so many ladies who talk about, oh, I want a man who has healed. I want the man who has done inner work. I want this and I want... The question is that, have you done inner work? Have you done inner work? Have you healed? Or do you think that getting a person that has healed is going to help you? If you get married or you get into a relationship with a person that has healed, ladies, especially you, if you get into a relationship with a man that has done the work, guess what? That man is going to hold you accountable. That man is going to call you out on your moods. They're going to want to know, like, what's the deal? What the go on, mama? Why are we upset today? All right? They're going to hold you to account to the relationship. They're not going to take your manipulation. They're not going to take you getting angry and trying to make them feel guilty because you don't want to deal with you. They're going to call you. They're going to hold you accountable. They're going to hold you accountable. And so the question is that if you say that I want somebody that is healed, have you healed? Have you healed? There are a lot of people who think that they have healed because they've been separated for a long time. For a long time, they didn't have a relationship. And because for a long time, they didn't have a relationship, they think that they have healed. Here's the question for you. How do you know that you have healed? Is it because of how long you've been out of a relationship? Or how do you test that you've healed? I'm going to give you an example. If somebody is an athlete, right? An athlete, and then you injure yourself, like I'm highly active physically. And in 2020, I got injured. I was playing tennis. I was in the US. I was playing tennis with a semi-professional young lady. She was actually going towards being a professional. And then what happened is my Achilles heel, that muscle there behind your ankle that connects your ankle to your calf muscle, that muscle there, it ruptured. It partially ruptured. And I had to put on a cast. I was stuck in the USA June 2020 during COVID. Thankfully, because of it was COVID time, I could go to the hospital for free and I didn't have to have medical aid. And they put on a cast on me, they put all the whole thing, but I didn't understand how bad the injury was. And I got back onto the basketball very quickly. 2-3 months I was back on the basketball court, and that was a big mistake. I didn't really fully understand how bad that injury was. And because of going back into activity quickly, I will never be able to do the exercise that I used to able before then. So the injury has affected the way that I even exercise. I was trying to do double skips the other day, and I was doing that, and it seemed like I was back into action again. And then the next thing you know, I got hurt again. I realized I won't be able to do double skips anymore. I won't be able to do this high jump things that I used to do anymore. I'm not going to be able to actually sprint with my son anymore like I used to do sprints with them and then outrun them. I tried recently, and he's 16 years old, and the boy just left me behind. I couldn't be able to keep up anymore. And I have to make peace with the fact that I am injured. I am never fully healed. I'll never be able to do some of the things that I've been able to do. If I'm doing an exercise now, I've got to be very careful what type of exercise I'm going to do. Similarly, if you have been emotionally hurt, you'll only find out once you get into a relationship again whether you are healed or not. You'll only find out whether you have been fully healed or not. You may not be feeling the pain because you are no longer in the situation that caused you pain before. But it is only when you get into a similar situation again that you'll be able to know whether or not you've healed. And most people think that they've healed because they've not been in a relationship for a long time. And when they get back into the relationship and then they get triggered again, and then they're defensive again, and they're protecting themselves again, and they don't know how to be safe in that similar type of environment again, because everything looks so familiar to what they had before. And here's one of the challenges that I was saying that I want us to think about. The challenge with having been betrayed, whether you've been with a narcissistic person or psychopathic person or person who was deceptive and who lied, is that there's a part of you that no longer knows how to trust. You no longer know whether if somebody's generous, they're generous because they really are generous, they really are genuine, or if they're trying to deceive you. Because the previous person seemed generous, they seemed genuine, but then they still betrayed you. So you never know. You never know if you've healed or not until you find yourself in a similar situation again, right? So, so how to move on when you've been hurt? Many of us want to move on, but we don't know how. Anyway, this is gonna happen. I don't know. It's already happening. I'm creating an online digital coaching platform using the mindset development models that I've created now, right? And then on this AI, it's an AI powered app that's gonna be like an online coach using the frameworks of models that I've developed over the years. It can be able to, for example, help you on how do I start over? It'll give you a guideline. This is how you start over. And you can ask it any question and it'll be able to give you based on all the data that I've put online. I mean, I've developed over 50 different thinking models that I normally work with companies on. And this thing becomes like an online coach for you, yeah? And a lot of it has to do with that, because one of the most common questions I get from adults is, how do I get things done? How do I get this done? How to. Many of us want to get a lot of things done. We don't know how to get it done. And also I wanted to make my coaching affordable. Not everybody can be able to afford those premium coaching packages, high on the 40Ks, 50Ks. Not everybody can do that. And I felt like, my community, unfortunately, is not able to have access to those high-end coaching sessions. But thankfully now with AI, I'm able to capture everything that I know and I keep on uploading it. Every time I come up with anything new, I just upload it onto the AI document, onto the AI platform as a resource, and then the AI's ability to give people specific answers for the questions, whether it's a relationship question, whether it's a career question, whether it's a business question, whether it's a mindset related question, whether it's an emotional question. You're able to ask it, and it's able to then give you answers. Anyway, so that's one of the things I'm working on at the moment, and as soon as it's sorted out, as soon as it's ready, then I'll let you guys know. So how to? Let me go on to the third quotation for us tonight. We should be talking. It says here, the most important question to ask on the job is not what am I getting, but the most important question is to ask, what am I becoming? Instead of asking what am I getting, is what am I becoming? Let's think about that one for two together. Earlier on, we spoke about how so many people get a lot of things from us as elder brothers and as the siblings or the sons and the daughters on whom the family depends. I was amazed by the AI on my WhatsApp. Yeah, no, it's like things are going crazy, eh? They're going completely nuts. Now, here's the thing. As the people that normally people depend on us, we were frustrated by the fact that we have helped our siblings, we have helped our parents, we have helped our extended family, and quite a lot of them have not done anything with the help that we've given to them. And then we did that with an expectation that they would make good out of it. And then most people ask, what can I get from a person? What can I get from life? But the thing is that if you're not paying attention to who you're becoming, it's very likely that you may screw up your opportunities. If you're not asking, am I becoming a good leader? You can get the promotion to become a manager based on your technical skills, based on your experience, based on how you're performing technically speaking, and then you get the opportunity to become a manager. But if you have not become a good leader, you won't be able to know how to lead people. You will have the job, you will have the position, but you won't know how to relate to people. You won't know how to treat people well. You won't know how to motivate them. You won't know how to teach them. You won't know how to create a healthy environment. Some of us might not even know how to give people instructions. We may not even know how to say no to them. We may not even know how to, to be firm and to be assertive. Maybe you become a manager and you're becoming a walkover, right? So the question that I always ask myself is this, is that if I were to get that lifetime opportunity that I'm praying for right now, that I'm working so hard for right now, let's say I get, is hypothetically speaking, let's say I get that 10 million rands that I'm looking for to build the business that I think I want to build. Have I become that person that can be able to handle that 10 million? Have I become that person that can be able to handle that great opportunity? Have I become that person that can be able to make good out of that thing that I'm praying so hard to get? Yeah? That's the question you'll ask yourself. Saying it's sometimes exhausting giving something your all and not getting any reflection back. Yeah, it's very hard, eh? It's really, really difficult. And that's why I'm saying sometimes part of what we need to manage on our side when we're giving people things is that we must give people things based on our own values and our own principle and based on our own perception of what we're getting from it, not what we're going to get from the people. If I'm giving something to my mother or my sister or even my wife, and I'm doing that with the expectation of return, I set myself up for potential disappointment if my giving is not informed purely or predominantly on the value that I am perceiving in that very act of giving itself. The value must be in the act of giving itself. The moment I place gratification. Gratification has to be on the act of giving itself. The moment I place expected gratification on reciprocity, on the other person giving something in return, you are setting yourself up for major disappointment. Because when they don't, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get resentful. You're going to get bitter. And unfortunately, the thing about resentment and bitterness is that it begins to change your character. The next thing you know, you become this unhappy person. You become this cruel person, this nasty person that you never were before. Resentment and bitterness can go so deep into the very depth of who you are and begin to mess around with your blood, the bloodline of your morality, and really make you dirty like a poisoner. It's poisonous. You know. Oh, okay, I was referring to work, not people. For instance, being disciplined, eat right, and work hard, but without, without results. Oh, okay, I totally understand. Absolutely, that can be quite discouraging. Either way, though, you triggered my mind into this trajectory, this line of thinking I was going into. Let me just wrap it up since I'm already so deep into it. The thing about it is that when it comes to people, whatever you do for giving, try to the best of your ability not to give to people with an expectation of return. It'll save you. It'll save you a lot of hurt, a lot of disappointment, and then let the value of your giving be based solely on what you perceive as the right thing to do for you. Like you are doing the right thing for you right now. You're giving this to whoever you're doing because you doing. That's why, for me with friends, I don't lend friends money. If I give my friends or anybody money, I am giving it. Doesn't matter how much it is. I'm giving. You can swear to God and say, I swear, Bob, I'm going to give it to you tomorrow morning. I swear, by the time that it hits 00, 00, and it's 12 o'clock midnight, your phone is going to go ding, ding, and I'm going to pay you back. If you do that, you give me back, it's fine. But I don't give anybody money with an expectation that they're going to pay me back. I don't do that at all. I just stay away from it. If I can't give you, I can't give you. I'm not doing that. I learned that from a pastor. He told me that a long time ago. Taught me that between friends, between family, and unless it is a pure business transaction, if you're going to give anyone money, try not to give anybody money that you need. Try not to give anybody money that you need for either an emergency or for a particular situation. So if you need to pay your school fees in a week, and then somebody comes to you and says, listen, I swear to God, please lend me this, or rather borrow me this 5,000 rands. I'm going to give it back to you. If you're going to need that money next week, don't. Because you're setting yourself up for disappointment, but also you are setting your relationship up for potential breakdown. So give from the abundance of your heart. Be very careful that you don't give from what you need, especially if it is if those important. If you've got a rent to pay, somebody comes to you 3 days before you have to pay your rent, and then they've got a life or death situation. Don't, because you are setting yourself up. If you're gonna need that in 3 days' time, don't, because you have no guarantee. There's no guarantee that you're gonna make that decision. Let me ask you this question: have you ever made one of those financial decisions, right? Have you ever decided to spend a lot of money on something because you're expecting money in a couple of days? Maybe you're expecting money in a week or two. And then you decide, I'm going to buy this thing now because I've got money coming up end of the month, right? Or somebody said they're going to give me the money, and then they promise this time they're going to give me the money so I can buy this, and you buy this thing or you spend this thing. And then that day comes and then you don't get the money. Has that ever happened to you? Because it has happened to me. It has happened to me where I've made those anticipated financial decisions, or I make those decisions, those interim decisions in anticipation of some change. Then I think if this change is going to happen and in the future, therefore I can make this decision right now. But then the time comes, the money is not there. The person doesn't show up. Some kind of emergency hits them and they're not able to come through for you. All right, that has happened to me. I don't know if it's okay. Kache is saying it's happened to her. Maybe it has happened to most of us on this live right now. So when it comes to lending people money, you should be very, very careful, because unless you can afford to lose the money, unless you can afford to let it go, unless you can afford to let it go and not be bitter about it and not be angry about it, then give. If you're not able to do that, you think twice about it. I'm going to do 2 more and then we'll be done here, guys, because kind of getting late now. I still have to give my wife a call before she sleeps. It says, pity the man who inherits $1 million and is not a millionaire. Here's what would be pitiful: if your income grew and you did not. Pity a man who inherits a lot of money when they have not grown. Right? This is one of those shows. What was the show again? That millionaire show where the people won the lottery again? I blew it. The I blew it mindset. People that inherit money, people that win the lottery, even sports people that get those massive contracts, even people that get those massive promotions. Hey, how about tenderpreneurs, right? How about tenderpreneurs who win these massive contracts, but because they have not grown mentally, because they've not grown emotionally, because they've not grown in terms of financial literacy, because they've not done any of that, money comes in, they don't really have a true way of being able to measure how much they've got, how to use it, what to use it for. They haven't grown emotionally to understand their emotional profiles when it comes to money. And then they blow the money. Or they become that thing that they've always wanted to become, but they couldn't because they didn't have the money. All right. They always say that money does not change people. It just simply reveals who they are. You see the true colors of a person. You see their true colors, who they are. They reveal themselves when they don't need anything from you. When they don't need anything from you. When they don't depend on you anymore. When they've got some degree of power, some degree of independence. That's when people really come out. And this is why some relationships suffer. Some relationships suffer where one person was suppressing themselves. They couldn't fully be themselves because they were afraid of losing the other person. They're afraid of losing the other person maybe because of they depended on them financially, maybe because they had some insecurity issues, and there was some degree of validation that they were getting from dating the person. Because people can date you, but not really date you, but they're dating the idea of you. Some people can be with you, not because it's because of you, but because of the idea of you. The infatuation that they have with you. They're not really with you, but they're really with you for the idea that they think, whoever they think it makes them for being with you. But when they no longer need that thing that they're thinking they're getting from you, that's when you're going to see the true colors. That's when you're going to see the true colors. And that's why I keep on saying to a lot of people ask me all the time, how do I know the person is the right person for me to date? How do I know that it's the right person, and what are some of the red flags? For me, I always say this, like, watch how a person treats other people. And then one of the things that you need to watch is that watch how a person treats the people that are close to them. Watch how they treat their siblings. Watch how they treat the people that they care about, people that they've had long-term close relationships with. How do they treat them? When they no longer need people, how do they treat them? How do people treat, security guard? How do they treat a waiter, right? How do they treat somebody that they perceive to be less than them? How do they treat somebody that they perceive to be better than them? Right? Yes. This is it. Like, how do you just pay attention to that? Because it gives you an insight. How a person treats people who are close to them shows you how they're gonna treat you once you're like this with them. Once they feel secure. Once they feel like they have secured your love and they no longer need to work for it. Because remember, with siblings and with parents and whatever, we don't have to work for that love, right? So, because once they get to that place of security, how are they going to treat you? Watch how somebody treats you when they need something from you, when they don't need anything from you. Watch how they treat you when you need something from them. Watch how they treat you when they no longer need you for whatever that thing is that they thought they needed you for before. Pay attention to those kind of things. Because it has a lot of insights. Exactly. Money creates that security, And then, like I say, when our true selves come out when we're safe. It comes out when the more independence you have, whether it's the independence of money, independence of resources, independence of age, independence of thought, independence of in terms of position in the environment, the higher you rise in terms of authority, when you no longer have to, you don't have to ask too many permissions from people, the true self comes out. Oh, Bona, I'm so sad, man. I was with somebody who treated other people well, but didn't treat me well. Yeah. Unfortunately, you do get those, right? The likelihood is that they treated you well in the beginning when they didn't know you well. And kind of throws you off a bit. And by the time that you find out, oh my goodness, this is a horrible person, it's too late. But I'll say this to you. Don't ignore your intuition. I swear to God, most people in the beginning of the relationship, they can sense that discomfort with a narcissist. You can sense it. You've seen it. There were times where there were those signs. There were times where they made that comment about the way you look, and then where your psyche felt it, where it felt like, okay, what was that? And then you went like, what was that? May not have gone like this, like your sangoma, but like your there isn't an equivalent in English. But you had that nervous sense. Your nervous system felt that danger because we have the ability to decode that danger. And so don't dismiss that entirely. Err on the side of caution. If the person is serious about the relationship, they'll pursue you some more. There are those times where they've made a statement about the way you look. They've made a statement about what they will do if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 happens. They made a statement about Mina if this happened to me. Say maybe they're watching, maybe they're watching a show and they see this woman did this to this man, and they'll say, if that ever happened to me, this is what I would do. Like, pay attention. Pay attention to what they would say they would do if they're in similar situations. when you're watching a movie, when you're discussing different scenarios, there are telltale signs of narcissists, of psychopaths, of deceivers and liars. They're telltale signs. They're there. You pick them up, but unfortunately, because of you being euphoric, then you don't. What ends up happening is that we don't pay attention to them. Okay, guys, I gotta get moving here. I'm gonna have to go. So I'll leave you with one last quote, and then I'll have to wrap it up. It says, "We can have more than we've got, because we can become more than we are. We can have more than we have because we can become more than we are." If you have more without having become more, the likelihood is that you're gonna screw up the more. If you have more money, but you still have the same financial illiteracy, your financial literacy is still down there, the likelihood is going to screw it up. If you have a better partner than you did before, but you have not yourself grown and become more, the likelihood is that you're going to screw up the relationship. If you get a better job, but you're still a horrible worker, the likelihood is that it's only a matter of time before you mess up and screw up that work too, and you're unhappy with it. Wherever you go, you are who you are. It's more important that we work in ourselves and become way more than we are currently, so that when we do get those wonderful opportunities that we're fighting and trusting God so much for, then we're ready to take care of them. Let me say, one thing I can say about narcissists is that they will accuse you of everything they're capable of. Exactly. Exactly, Bhumi. Those hypothetical questions, watch out for the hypothetical question. Pay attention. Every single question is informed by an let me not be too complicated. Every single question is informed by previous knowledge. There is a knowledge behind the question. The question is informed by a body of knowledge. Either question is being asked with a genuine intention of wanting to know the answer because there is a gap in the knowledge, or most questions, a lot of people are asking as pretext, and the pretext is not a real question. It's a question that pretends to be a question. It is a question that is leading towards something else. And then you gotta be able to pay attention to that, like honestly. Because if you don't, the likelihood is you're gonna miss those telltale signs about narcissist and all of that. Okay, guys, with all that being said, I gotta moving. So thank you so much for tuning in this evening. I'll be in touch with you guys soon again. I hope you had a lot of fun. I hope you've learned a couple of things. Just let me know in the comment sections if you were happy, if you enjoyed the talk today, and just continue to keep on liking. If you're not following me, just follow. If you're not following me, just keep on following. Thank you so much, Katli. I really appreciate the love that you've just sent through. Appreciate that so much. Oh, the last one, please repeat. Okay, I'm gonna read the last one. I'm gonna read the last quote for you. This is something I'm gonna try and do every Wednesday. Mindset Power Wednesday. All right, the last one is this: we can have more than we've got because we can become more than we are. We can have more than we've got because we can become more than we are. So in other words, to become more than you've got at the moment, to have more than you have at the moment, become more than who you are at the moment. This is my last plea to you. Learn to hold yourself accountable to the best person you possibly can be. Learn to hold yourself accountable to the best version of yourself. Start thinking and working towards being that person. If you want great things in life, great things don't come with mediocrity. Mediocrity can never yield the great things. Mediocrity will yield you the average life. And in a complex life that we're living in now, mediocrity is actually the worst thing for you. There's nothing worse than knowing that you are living below par. You're living below what you are able to live, what you are able to achieve. It's not in any way to underplay and to undermine and to dismiss the challenge that we've got. But we also have got to be able to say to ourselves, have we done the things that we needed to get done? Do we know as much as we need to know? Do we know it as well as we possibly could know it? Are we taking the lessons from the mistakes that we have made? Are we integrating those lessons into our everyday knowledge? Are we applying those lessons so that we can continue to improve on our lives? And once we apply the lessons, are we figuring out how to improve on those lessons so that we can become more? Right? There's no way in the world that we'll be able to get out of the situations we're finding ourselves in now if we're not asking ourselves these questions, and if we're not holding ourselves to the highest level of the highest version of the person that we want to be. Sometimes I ask myself this question that, I remember this when I was trying to become an executive, when I was still in the middle management. I would ask myself, looking at some of the executives, like if I were so and so, how would I look at this situation? How would I answer this person? Because the thing about executive thinking is that executive thinking is about the it. Executives focus on the it. They focus on the vision. They focus on the ultimate goal. The senior, your middle management, they're focusing on the people. How do I lead the people? Junior staff is focusing on the duties, the responsibilities. What I need to do, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. If I don't do that, I'm gonna be in trouble. Middle management, how do I lead the people? Executive, the bigger vision, what is needed? What is needed for this to happen? What is needed for that to happen? Why is that not happening? They focus on and that is what makes them an executive thinker. Executive thinker does not get caught up at the bottom of the barrel. They don't get caught up with the politics at the bottom. They're thinking about how do I create a macro environment? How do I create a macro environment so I can focus on the it? Here's the it mindset in South Africa. It is true. There's poverty. There are no opportunity. The economy is in trouble. The rand is in trouble. We don't know what's going on with the politics. Still, we need to eat. We need to live. We need to grow. The it mindset says, okay, what can I do to get myself out of the situation? I'll give a simple example right now with me in terms of my business. It's a highly competitive business. Everybody in their dog is a motivational speaker these days. Influencers are being produced every day like hotcakes. The next thing you know, somebody's got 70,000, has got 100,000 followers, and then they're getting invited on these platforms, right? And all of a sudden, you are not as hot as you were the previous day. So if you are thinking that you're going to get that work, you're not going to get that job because the competition is rising on a daily basis. One of the things that I'm doing as an it mindset is that I'm on my third course of digital marketing on understanding how the internet works, understanding, I'm sorry, yeah, it's a thought that came to my mind. Understanding how this whole industry works. How do I put my courses online? How do I ensure that I continue to stay relevant? How do I ensure that I continue to stay visible? I can't now say this is now too populated, I'm gonna get out. No. It mindset is that what is it that I need to get done so that I can achieve it? Still continue to secure jobs and still continue to secure platforms. Like everybody is moving into the speaking space because it's a beautiful space to be in, to be a healer and to help people and to be given the time to be heard, because so many of us are not heard wherever we are. And how beautiful it is that we can actually do that and get paid at the very same time. Yep. So I don't blame people. I mean, they're smart enough, just like me, to be able to see that this is actually the way to go. So the it mindset is that as an executive, I've got to think of executive speaking. What is the macro environment? What do I need to get done? What spaces do I need to place myself in? And so then I have to be very careful of my time. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for tuning in this evening. So palatable. You are so welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Endurance, thank you for engaging and for for your comments and for your contribution tonight. Buleng, thank you for Buleng. Been a while, man. Brother man, single dads. Oh, say, I would imagine it's you. So thank you so much for being here. Guys, follow the Single Dads Network if you're a single dad and you want to get some really good information about being a single dad. They cover everything from legal issues to financial issues, psychological issues. I've contributed to that network myself. I'm a member of the Single Dads Network, even though I'm married, because I'm a parent of boys and I contribute. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Bona. Thank you, Refilwe. You've been loyal from the very beginning. You were the first one on the live and the last one on the live. I really, really appreciate that so much. Okay, guys, thank you so much. You take care. Cheers.
Confidence. The strongest believe in who you are, what you can do, and what you can achieve. Character. Your inner moral constitution that governs you with principles and values and beliefs that puts boundaries around what you can do and what you will not do, what you will sell out for and what you will not sell out for. Courage. Life is tough. Let's say this together. Life is tough.
Life is tough.
People are looking for easy. Don't be the easy target.
Don't be the easy target.